Yeah. Zach, welcome in. Tell folks who don't know where you are, what's on your mind, please. Thank you for joining.
Hi, folks. I live in Oakland, California. I was a Harris supporter in the election. And can I just say broadly what's on my mind and then ask a more specific question?
Yeah, take your time because I'm eating some M&M, so take all the time you need.
Okay.
Smoking a cigar.
Yeah, so I feel kind of isolated right now because I feel like I have more understanding of Trump voters than most people in California, or at least in the Bay Area, or at least the people I know, and a lot of the people outside of California from the Boston area. And so it's just it is a lot of like this kind of mental health crisis where people are feel like I hear the word despair quite a lot. And some people are they're kind of panicking, and I sympathize with some of the specific issues. So for example, I have a lot of friends in the trans community. I have an X on my passport. I'm worried about that. There's some element of like, I mean, you lose an election, policies change, and that's just kind of how it goes. But that feels like kind of a heartless thing to say for someone that's worried about their medical care being cut off or being transferred to like a men's prison or something. So yeah, I'm just struggling to make sense of what's going on because I go on Facebook and I see people acting like we're in Vichy France. And I don't think it's that drastic, but I don't want to blow off people's concerns. So I appreciate
Yeah.
this program, but I'm kind of struggling. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, it does, Zach. And I'll say to you what I say to lots of people, come on, you speak for tens of millions. I think you said it really well. Is the reason you have greater understanding of Trump supporters because of two-way or some other reason?
I grew up all over the country, so I've lived in red states, I've lived in rural areas. I went to a Christian college, and I feel like at that college we actually had to talk to each other and like persuade each other. The quality of political debate in America feels worse than I had in college.
Yeah.
So, but towards the end of this election, I kept seeing on comments people saying, I cannot fathom how the polls are 50-50 or 48-49 or whatever. And to me, it's like people are trying to dunk on the Trump voters, but you're just dunking on yourself with your own lack of insight into the country you live in. So
Yeah.
I just felt like that is a sign I don't fully understand it. That is a sign I need to like listen to more centrist and right of center media to understand like what are people's concerns. Looked at a lot of polling. I had no idea immigration was a big concern for a lot of the country until I just looked at it in polling because it's not something you see in the more left of center media.
Okay. Do you want to ask your specific question?
Yeah, so a lot of people like putting more specific populations of humans affected aside, a lot of people are very, very freaked out about DOGE. And I looked through all of the cases on lawfare the past couple days. To me, the most serious ones seem like the OPM ones. Maybe Treasury too, but it seems like Treasury's a bit under control. The OPM ones were like early, probably the access was illegal, and they have like background checks, like FBI background checks and something. So I'm broadly sympathetic to the idea of like looking for waste. I think USAID is not good. I'm not defending that at all. But that the OPM access seems illegal and dangerous. And if I was going to try to voice people that are freaked out about DOGE, I would say that's one of the more legitimate kind of criticisms. So I'm just curious if you guys have thought about that one.
I'll say briefly to your big point and then that question and then let the gentleman speak. That one concerns me. It's not a top tier one for me in the sense that I could name six others that I'm just as concerned about and want to know more about. But it's in the top tier for me. Um, on your other point, we could talk for hours about it. I think it's unfortunate that any efforts to understand the popularity of Donald Trump by the people on the left was not made 2 years ago. It's not a great time to be trying to engage in that project, just emotionally, and from a oppositional point of view. It's difficult, but I'd urge people to do it for the sake of their mental health and the sake for trying to bring the country together. The president's approval rating is higher than it's ever been. His approval on certain policies is in the 60s and 70s. And I think rather than just saying he's the sea Satan and he's precipitating a constitutional crisis, you should ask yourself, of things he's for that 70% of the country's for, are you for it too? And if you're not, why not? And why do you think 70% of the country's for these things?